Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to the Lexi Diaries, or welcome if you've never been here before. Hi, I'm Lexi. I will be your host today, as usual. I'm so excited to be here this week and to be talking to y'all. I feel like this is something I really needed to do this week. I always love sitting down and recording this podcast for y'all and just getting to talk, whether it's about advice or life or a movie review. I just love having these conversations with y'all. But this week, I feel like this is honestly really what I need. I've been having just a lot of thoughts weighing on my head, my heart, just a lot, not necessarily going on in my personal life, but my mind, I guess. I've just been having a lot of thoughts, realizations, not necessarily like just now realizations, but just a lot of things are going on up in here, okay? So I'm really excited for this week's episode because this is actually an outline I've had for a while, if I'm honest. I have a whole thing of notes, as I've said before, that are like ideas or just, things that I could talk about or might talk about in the future, or that I do go and choose if I'm not like having one that's on my heart this week, just something to go, so I have stuff back up, I guess, to talk about just in case I don't have anything necessarily prepped that I want to talk about for the week, you know what I mean? And this one has been sitting on the back burner for a while now. This is something that I've wanted to talk about because I have struggled so much with this in my life, and I still struggle to this day, and I know I am not the only one, okay? So the title of today's episode is the realization of a chronic people pleaser. I might shorten it a little, I don't know, but that's originally what I had titled it in my notes, and I liked it, so I kept it. But it's, the realization of a chronic people pleaser. I am a people pleaser to my core, okay? I don't know if it has to do with childhood, stems from that. I don't know if it's just the way I was born, but as early as I can remember, I was a people pleaser. If everyone else was happy around me, I was fine. As long as everyone else was okay, I was ultimately like, oh, I'm fine, I'll be okay. But that can lead to a lot of bad things, and it led to ultimately living for approval. Okay? That's not something we want to do, ever. The only person's approval that we should be looking for is our own. But it's a lot easier said than done, and I know that, okay? Because, look, I have struggled with this since I played softball when I was a kid, like softball, baseball, volleyball. I always just wanted to be the best. If you're playing to be the best at what you're doing. If you're playing a sport, you want to be good at it. If you're working a job, you want to be good at that job. You want to be the best at your craft and what you're doing. So I always strove for perfection there, and not necessarily even for myself, especially when it got later in high school. I didn't necessarily want to play sports anymore, but it's what made everyone else happy. And I eventually did come to not playing sports my senior year because that's ultimately what made me happy. But for a while there, I played sports just ultimately to make everyone else around me happy, and people thought I was good at the positions I played, and I just wanted to be good at that. That was ultimately just my goal. In school, I strove to make straight A's my whole life because that's what my mom wanted. She wanted me to make straight A's. She wanted me to go to college, and parents always tell you, they want better for you than they had themselves. So she wanted me to focus on school, go to college, get my degree, get a good job. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all, but that was the goal. That's all I chased for most of my life. And honestly, same thing with sports was I wanted to play college sports, not because I wanted to play college sports, but because I was told I was good, and that's what you do is you play college sports. But reeling it back, let's slow down a little bit. That was ultimately me just living for other people's approval, living to make the people around me happy, because again, if they were happy, I was happy, and I thought everything was okay. But it really sent me down a very, very dark cycle that we will get into a little bit later. But this is kind of just the intro, you know what I mean? But I thought that if I just kept doing what everyone said was what you're supposed to do, that it would eventually work out. Everything was going to be fine, and I ultimately would end up happy. Maybe I wasn't happy right now, but who's happy all the time? I'm not supposed to be happy all the time. People are sad. That's normal. So even though I'm killing myself trying to get A's, although I don't really care about my grades, at least my mom's happy. And even though I don't really want to play the sport, at least my team's winning and everyone's happy. And I did enjoy being on a team so much. That's honestly, I think, why I enjoy working in the food industry so much, is it's kind of like a team aspect in a way. but I do miss that so much. If you are listening to this and you played on my volleyball and softball team, I love you so much, and I wish nothing but the best for you. Those were some of the greatest memories I had in high school, where when I was playing sports or, just messing around with friends. It was never actually school. Okay, nobody actually likes the school part of high school. It's all about the extracurriculars and all the side stuff. But anyway, this ultimately led me to almost going to college. Okay, because that's, again, what I was told I was supposed to do. And my senior year of high school, I went down the deepest, darkest cycle in my brain because I did not know what the fuck I wanted to do with my life. I had no inkling of what I truly wanted to do. I knew for certain there wasn't one thing. I knew that I didn't want to do one thing the rest of my life. So I knew I didn't want to go to college for one thing specifically, because I don't even know what that one thing is. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you need to make money, right? And in my brain, I'm like, the only way I can make money is if I go to college and I get a degree and I get a job. You know what I mean? Even though college costs a lot of money, but let's not even talk about that. But I was like, that's the only way I'm going to be able to survive in this world. Like, that's the only way. That's all I had been taught, and that's also all I had focused on. I had never given myself a chance to think outside of the box of, Lexi, what the fuck do you really want? Because I was doing my whole life what everyone else wanted me to do. Like, when I had quit sports, I went down a terrible cycle because I was like, how am I going to afford school? If I'm not getting like a scholarship of some sort from sports, how am I going to afford school? And I'm like, oh, okay, academics. I'm just going to focus on my grades. Like, keep focusing on my grades. So push for those A's, keep that up. Melissa's happy. That's my mom also. I call my mom Melissa. Anyway, I was like, Melissa's happy. I'm happy because she's happy. So and I can get into a good school with, the grades I have. So I did we're going very off track. This is kind of just a story time episode, basically, of like, hopefully y'all not doing the things I do and like realizing through my way of people pleasing that maybe you're people pleasing in a way, and like maybe just stop, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what this episode's really gonna be. Anyway, I keep getting off track. Can you tell I'm like a little out of it? But this led me to doing dual enrollment, okay? Because at my school, they provided dual enrollment, and I was like, oh, okay, I can get college credits so that I can already have my AA done and then, go to college, go do the actual, get my, the major. I don't know a lot about college right now, or ever. But anyway, and so I started doing dual enrollment. That made me depressed as shit because that left out free time. Right? And what I really truly enjoyed, again, in high school was just hanging out with my friends. I did not enjoy the school part of it. And I mean, nobody does, but like, it made it to where I had no time to hang out with my friends. If I wanted to make the grades I had to make, I didn't like that. And like, also, I was still playing sports at this time. It got to a point where literally nothing made me happy. I went to practice, miserable. I went to school, miserable. College, miserable. I was just miserable all the time because I was living someone else's life. I was living a life that I did not want to be living. So it eventually did lead me to having a very serious crying conversation with my mother and grandma. Eventually, I had a conversation with her about how I didn't want to play sports anymore. That was the whole thing. And how I didn't want to do enrollment anymore because I felt like I did not have a life. That was a whole thing as well. There was a lot. It all got to a point where I broke. And I had quit two really big things that in my brain were very important to me. Because that's how I was going to provide for my future and like pave the way, I guess, in a way. And I had just quit two of these things that were supposedly important to me. Okay? So then I got more depressed because, I'm like, okay, now I'm a failure. I couldn't even cut it in dual enrollment. How am I supposed to cut it in college? And also, I'm a failure in sports. I worked my whole life playing these sports for what? Like, I'm just going to quit? And that led me down a very, like I said, dark path. We're going to keep saying that. But that's because I didn't ever sit down with myself and say, is this what I really want? And after I had gone through that really, really bad state and really honestly hit rock bottom and had to think to myself, like, what the fuck do I want to do? It got a little better. I was like, you know what? I quit dual enrollment because I didn't want to do that. I didn't fail it necessarily. Like, yes, you could say I failed, but I didn't fail because I didn't fail myself. If I would have kept doing it, I would have been failing myself in the end. Same goes for the sports. Yes, I quit something that I had been doing for a very long time, but sports don't last forever anyway. Okay? I couldn't, I mean, I could have, I couldn't have. But, people can go pro. I knew that's not what I wanted. I liked the games. I did not like practice, okay? And, that's obviously an important part to, playing sports is you need to practice to play good, but I didn't like that part. And just when I got older, that's ultimately not what I wanted. It was fun when I was a kid, but it got to the point where it wasn't what I wanted, so I eventually had to stop and quit to make myself happy and really sit down and think and be like, look, this is not what you want. You're doing what everyone else wants you to do, and that is why you are so miserable, is because you're not doing anything that's making you happy. You're doing shit that makes other people happy. So obviously you're not happy because it's not their life you're living, it's your life you're living. So you need to take control of that. Cut the shit out that you don't need and bring the shit in that makes you happy. So yeah, that's what we did. And on to the part that I was talking about earlier, I did still try to go to college. My grandma enrolled me. But then I went to go pay for my first thing of tuition, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to pay this amount of money. Do y'all want to know what I was going to be? Do y'all want to know what I was going to go to college for? Dental hygiene. Y'all want to know why? Because it wasn't a lot of school. That's why. It was not a lot of school, and I just didn't want to go to school. I just wanted to be able to make money and not go to school. Well, guess what I did? I did that anyway. Except I did what made me happy and chose not to go to college because that's not what was going to make me happy, and that's not what I needed in that point of time. I needed that money to move out. I had other things that I needed to do in my life that served me best, and just college wasn't the right choice for me. And I'm so happy I decided to make that, but I would have never made that choice if I never actually sat down and was like, what do you want? What do you want, Lexi? Is this what you want? No, it's not. So why are you doing it? Maybe you're doing that. I don't know. That's also why I'm doing this episode again. I don't really know what it's about. I'm kind of just rambling and hoping y'all learn through my people-pleasing problems. And yeah, that's basically it. But anyway, moving on. My experience people-pleasing at a young age with dating. This is a big thing, guys. Okay, first of all, I have spoke many times. I'm getting a little chilly, so hold on. I have spoke many times about how you need to love yourself first to be in a relationship, which isn't necessarily true. I mean, I when I was in my first relationship, I didn't necessarily love myself, yet I still gave so much love. But at the same time, this is where my people-pleasing started to become very noticeable and quite a problem. Because I would let things slide sometimes, and certain behaviors, and this isn't just in my relationship, also disclaimer, this is just speaking in men in general at a young age, trying to date and all that. I would take things that let me reverse. I would take disrespect and be okay with it because at least they liked me, or at least they were texting me. Even if they were quote unquote joking, yet being a dick, I would be like, oh, well, maybe they were joking, and I would second guess myself, and I would just kind of let people walk all over me so that I would feel loved and accepted. I wish someone would have told that little girl, baby, you deserve so much more. You are so loved and worthy, and don't ever let a man degrade you or make you feel like you're less than anything but amazing and wonderful and perfect and everything I just said. Well, not perfect. But anyway, I would just let things slide. I would take behavior that I would never in a million years take now and just be like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. It's not a big deal, because I didn't see how much I was worth and see that letting these things happen would build up and cause resentment on my end. And not necessarily them, because they're like, oh, she's so great, she's so, forgiving, da-da-da. That shit builds up on the other end, though. I would start to be resentful towards that other person because of the bad behavior, but in all reality, I allowed the bad behavior. So, can I be mad? Not really, but like at the same time I would be, because I mean I have a right to feel how I feel, but if I wasn't communicating that was making me some sort of way, that was ultimately my problem, and that was a big problem for me at a very young age. And also not what the fuck, I can't talk today. Changing who I was for a person in a way, like to make them happy, like trying to listen to the same music as them. And like when I think about me when I was younger, I'm so sorry for her. And like going to certain places because I knew they would be there, and like dressing certain ways because I knew like people were dressing like that and people like that. Like I would shapeshift into a whole other person to make someone else happy, or like so I could be liked. It breaks my heart, honestly, to think about it, but I'm being so raw with y'all right now. Like this is honestly how I was as a teenager. And I told myself I was not going to cry this episode also. Told myself I was not going to cry because I don't think I've ever actually cried on the pod. But we're going to kind of go off of that because I really don't want to cry. But I just had, it builds up and gets to a point where like your mood's based on their mood. Like say that your partner or your significant other is like not in the best mood, you allow that to affect you. Or like say they're upset at you at something, you start being upset at yourself for the things that they're upset at you for, but in all reality you might not have done anything wrong. Just it got to a point for me personally when I was in my relationship that like I had let so many past things in my life and like so much in my relationship and past relationships, like, and this was all me, okay? I let it build up to the to the point where like I didn't know who I was anymore. I did not love myself at all, and I had again put everyone else's priorities, wants, needs before mine. And I don't know, once again I hit rock bottom. This happens quite a bit. I do struggle with depression and anxiety, so excuse it a little bit. But I just had realized that I was never going to be happy in a relationship or a friendship, and I was never going to be a good partner and be able to fulfill my other partner's needs and make them happy if I was not whole myself and filling into my own cup and standing up for myself and the things I believed. Because guys, I would even compromise, like, oh my god, like, just, I would, like, the things, if you listen to my last episode, like, just the things that I'm like, oh, I would never be with a guy if he did these things, I would allow those things when I was younger, because why not, right? If at least I get to hang out with them and they think I'm pretty. As stupid as that fucking sounds, y'all, it's a thing though when you're a young girl. And if you struggle with this now, baby, please know you are so loved and so worthy, and you deserve so much, and anything short of that, not enough. Okay, so, but I had again gotten to a point where I had to change things, and I again still struggle with people pleasing a lot in a lot of aspects of my life, but I have gotten better, and I will continue to grow and get better, hopefully. That's what we're here to do, okay? We're here to continue to grow and learn and love this life, and that's what I plan to do. So I wish the same for you. But moving on to friendships, okay? I have points, okay? I actually have an outline a little bit this time, okay? Moving on to friendships. Ooh, this is a big one. This is a big one. Making plans when I'm not feeling up for it. I still struggle with this so much. Like, I will pack my weeks sometimes to where I don't even have a day of rest to myself, and I'm like, Lexi, you know you can't do this. You know you need time to play with your guitar, to play with your cats, to just sit on the couch and rot like a freaking potato. Like, you know you need this time. So what are you doing? Like, making all of these plans. Like, yes, you're having a lot of fun. You are. But your battery's running low, and you know it. Because I have like a max when it comes to socializing a week. And when I hit it, like, sometimes if I don't realize and I still continue to push and go to these plans that I ultimately should not be going to because I'm tired, but everyone else is going, and I either don't want to be left out, or like everyone's like, please come on, like, let's go. And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, sure. Like, I ultimately don't have the best time. I mean, I have a good time. I'm with my bitches. But, like, I ultimately, like, I go home and I'm like, I wish I would have just stayed in my jammies tonight. Like, or the next morning when I get up, I'm like, what the fuck? Because, like, I'll actually have shit to do that next day. And I'm like, why did you go out? Why didn't you just rest? You knew you needed rest. And I still struggle with this so much. And I'm working. Peanut, stop it, baby. And I'm working on it. I really am. And I know that I'm not the only one that struggles with this, especially. So if you need time to rest, take that time to rest. It's okay to say no to plans. I promise. It's okay. Your friends are going to love you and accept that you are just tired. Okay, for example, like my friend Rachel, she wanted to come to the pool today. I have a pool in my apartment. She wanted to come over and tan. I said, baby, I'm sorry, but I got to record the podcast, priorities. And she was like, oh, that's fine, babe. I know you got things to do. No problem. We'll just do another day. I'm like, oh, thank you. I love you. And that's the type of friendship I love, for one. But two, that's growth. Okay, that's growth. I'll take it, okay? And then also, when it comes to maybe not having a Rachel in your life, that's maybe not as understanding, the wrong people can take advantage of people pleasing in a way, I guess. I'm gonna go back to high school for this example, okay? Say that you and your friend both have a car, but say you mentioned one time that you like to drive, and now all of a sudden you're the only one that drives to plans, okay? But like they don't want to drive, so in order to make them happy, you're like, oh, okay, I'll drive. It's fine. That's just an example. Okay, that's just an example. But like, people will take advantage of people pleasers. I don't know why I necessarily put this down. I think it was just to like make the point that like people take advantage. I think that's freaking obvious. So again, I don't know why I put this down, but just protect yourself. If you know you're a people pleaser, protect yourself in this aspect, because people take advantage. And also, like, say that people see that you're a very forgiving person, they might consistently like keep doing fucked up shit that like maybe you're like wouldn't let that slide for like just an average person, but like this is your best friend, like they may just keep doing the same repetitive behavior. And no, babe, that's taking advantage of someone. That is using their kindness and taking advantage of it. And you being a people pleaser, and like I see people pleasers as also being empathetic. Maybe I'm just a fucking psychopath, but your empathy should never be used as a weapon, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I think I need to move on from this point because I feel like I'm not making any sense, if I'm honest. But another point. Sorry, I'm honestly so scatterbrained right now. I don't know what's going on and I've only been talking for 20 minutes. That's actually long for me. But anyway, making plans when you don't feel up for it. You can push your needs aside for others. You don't want to, because you don't want to cause confrontation. Oh my God, yeah, I do this a lot, actually. That's why I put this down. I do this a lot. Like, I bite my tongue sometimes when it comes to certain situations, because I simply, again, just don't want to cause confrontation, or I don't want to, like, ruin the vibe, or, like, not, like, ruin someone's mood or anything. Like, I will simply bite my tongue and not say shit sometimes, and instead just go silent. And I honestly need to stop that. I feel like it's good sometimes because like the things I want to say are honestly like the kindness, and I feel like I should think before I speak, which is why I don't speak most of the time. But at the same time, why do I keep losing my train of thought? At the same time, this causes, again, a lot of resentment for me in a way, and I'm sure it does others, because like you keep building up all of these things that like may be bothering you, or like, again, the same repetitive behavior, and eventually you're gonna blow up, babe. So maybe do say something to your friend. If you're like, even if your friend's not necessarily, if you think they're not going to be, I'm very bad at assuming what someone's going to say. So even if you think they might not react great, they might react completely different. Give your friend the benefit of the doubt in the situation. And if it's a problem that's weighing heavy on your heart, talk to them about it, okay? because, I mean, they're your friend. You should feel comfortable enough to talk to them about it. But, and I put in this point, empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. And again, leading back to my self-destructive tendencies, that episode, I think I need to wrap this up because I'm starting to just, lose my train of thought and go all cuckoo. You know what's crazy, though? Sorry, guys. Again, losing my train of thought. You know what's crazy, though? I usually have to record the intro of the podcast, 2-3 times because, within the first 5 minutes, I say something stupid. I didn't have to do that this time. This is the first take. I don't think I've done that since, my first episode. I think I might have done it on, my third or fourth, too. But this is rare, okay? So I think that's why, towards the end, it's kind of because it was going great in the beginning. So, it was bound to happen. But just to wrap this up, you can't make everyone happy. I've said this many times before, okay? You can't make everyone happy, and you actually can't make most people happy, and you shouldn't want to make everyone happy because not everyone agrees with what you stand for and what you agree with, and that's okay. I've said a million times again, we're all supposed to have different opinions. We're supposed to be different, and if someone doesn't like you, it's their loss. Fuck them. There's no need to change who you are or try to, again, shapeshift into a different person or anything for another person because you are perfect the way you are. And God, I need to go. And yeah, you're the only person who control your life, and when you realize that, you are golden. That is my last note I had put, and I think it's time for me to get the freak off of here because I'm losing my mind. But I love y'all so, so, so much. I hope you know you are worth so much, and I hope to see you in the next week's episode. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, Alyssa was on that episode. That's my sister, if you don't know who that is. I had a lot of fun recording that, so you should definitely go listen to that. But I love y'all so, so much. I hope the rest of y'all's week goes amazing. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye. Mwah.